Welcome back to the Anduce Radio Hour. Don't ask me where I've been, just be happy that I'm here. And we're going to have a little conversation. It's off the cuff, not too much studying involved. Maybe in the future I'll do something with a little more editing. But today, wanted to talk to you guys about an issue that's going on, right? We're right wing around here, right? We're right wingers and all that stuff. And what interests me is this, right? This idea of Christian nationalism, right? This is the big popular word, Christian nationalism. And people are starting to spout it out. I see a lot of debates where it's being defended, and in the hypothetical sphere, it's winning over the secular, uh, the secular arguments. The secular world order on the debate stage, at least in the blood sports sphere, is losing, right? And all these people, all these leftists, all these guys, they're taking L's and losing in hypothetical debates. Right? In debates on the hypotheticals about these things. But there's one issue, right? Because I've been hearing this thing about Christian nationalism for the last 5 years, 6 years, definitely since 2020. And I just want to give you guys a little background as to my dealing with or whatever, because not that deep, but it's my dealing with regards to Christian nationalism, right? I heard this stuff I heard about this stuff back in 2019, around, you know, December of 2019, right? Late 2019, the end of it. And when when I heard about this, I thought it was a good idea. I thought, hey, you know what? I thought and I'm using this in a colloquial sense, I thought we Christians should, team up and, unite behind what unites us, right? Unite behind a common ideal and fight the communists, fight the liberals, fight these weirdos, right? I thought it was a good idea. I was a little idealistic, right, when I became a proponent of this idea of, yeah, I think it's a good idea to do that, right? But with more studying and unfortunately for the idealist, reality has different plans for the idealist, right? If everything worked on paper, we'd live in a more perfect world. But with passing time, I started noticing the biggest problem about this political movement, Christian nationalism, and it's not something that the leftoids ever bring up because they're too busy defending their stupid ideas to even bring. So I'm bringing this up, right? The issue with Christian nationalism is that although it works on paper, although you can defend it, although you can defend it and against the secular order, against secular humanism too, like it will lose, right? In debates, it will lose. But the biggest issue when I started growing into my faith, and especially when I started leaning into the more traditional Catholic, when I started going to the traditional Latin Mass, I started to notice things about Christian nationalism that's problematic. And I started noticing that people who I thought should be, gung ho for the idea weren't really promoting it. They were still promoting this old, tired idea of let's just team up on low taxes and free markets. And basing their, they weren't really basing any arguments on let's make society Christian again, right? And at the time, people like Charlie Kirk weren't really saying anything like that. And I wondered why. And I think I came to the conclusion. Right? as to why, and I'll let you guys know right now. I started figuring out that Christian nationalism, as good as it is on paper, as good as it in the ideal world, as good, I came to the realization that this movement cannot go anywhere. Cannot go anywhere if we are based on this idea, which is what I think it is. Since I'm a traditional Catholic, I can't accept this idea. This idea, Christian nationalism, is a movement, is an ecumenical movement. And maybe in the future, I'll get into more details as to why why Catholics are not supposed to do that, right? Because I do think this is technically an ecumenical movement, and we can't, based on what an encyclical of Pope Pius XI, can't really be doing any kind of ecumenical ideas. But I'll get to that in another video. Today is just a rant. It's my first episode back, and I want to let you guys just starting off on these are just rants. Maybe in the future I'll come up with something a little more academic. But we all have to be one religion if we want this idea to work. A car cannot move with the wheels going in all directions, and that's what's going on. Christian nationalism is an idea, and I'm not opposed. I'm opposed to it as how it's being sold right now. I'm not opposed to an idea of a country that is run by Christian ethics. And the problem is, I know people will argue, well, there are things that all Christians, I'm using the word colloquially. When you hear me say the word Christian, I'm using it colloquially, in the colloquial sense. Okay? Just so I don't have to be saying quote Christians, because after a while it adds more words, and we don't need to do that. But I might do it anyway. Who cares? So if I go on, who cares? But like I said, right? A car can't move forward if all the wheels are going in different directions. And that's the problem here. And if somebody argues, well, there are things that all Christians agree on, I would say no. There isn't actually. There isn't. There isn't enough. There isn't enough. And ecumenism doesn't work because ecumenism is a lie too. That's the number one thing. Ecumenism can't work because it's a lie. You can't base society on a lie. That's what the liberals do. As they base it on a lie. Hey, you know what? The lie that that human rights can be proved outside of our brains. That's a lie. Well, that's also a lie saying there's no difference between us. There are no major differences. That's also a lie. Basically, we're Catholics and the other sects, what we agree on is that Jesus is God, and that's it. Because even the interpretation of the Ten Commandments is different. We only agree on that, and believing, right, that one thing, that Christ is God, Christ is Lord, right? Believing in that one thing, okay, is not enough. And I'm going to give you an example. If you guys don't believe me, because I've been sitting on this for a while, and I've known this, and I've told people close to me that this idea won't work. Now, and I'll give you one reason why. Okay, I didn't say the other last thing because we're getting to it, right? Christ is God, Christ is Lord. That's what all these Christians are cool with saying. But let's look at this, right? Ted Cruz calls Christ is King an anti-Semitic code word. This is from LifeSite News, by the way. Right, that's the headline. Ted Cruz calls Christ is King an anti-Semitic code word. Cruz claimed to agree with the statement that Christ is King, but charged the proclamation of faith is being used online to say screw you Jews. Ted Cruz is an evangelical Christian. right? Here it goes. I'm just going through the article. I'm really troubled by how the phrase Christ is King is being used, Cruz said. I agree with the statement Christ is King, although it is being used online in a way that is meant to say, screw you Jews. It's being it is being used in a context very directly to say I hate Jews. And that, and then it has a couple of periods and online code word. Okay? And that's the problem. If I were to speak to Ted Cruz, I'm like, you know what? Christ is King is offensive to anyone who's not Christian. It's not just Jews. It's not just directed to Jews. It's directed to anyone. You don't have to be Jewish to find that word offensive. You just have to hate God. You have to hate Christ. If you hate Christ, you're going to hate that terminology. And there's a large amount of Christians. There's a large amount of them. Evangelicals make a good part of the American right. And these people are denying God. If these people were Catholic, I would tell them you have stupidity. You are denying God. You can't even say Christ is King without yeah but. You have a stupidity. You are a coward. You cannot. And that's the problem with these evangelical Christians. There's Ted Cruz, right? There's that other politician. What was her name? She lost. She sucks at her job. What's her name? Valentina Gomez. All day, dirty Muslim. This, right? Illegals that. We got to do this. Let's burn a Quran. Let's do that. And then as soon as we say, hey, you know what? Christ the King. She can't say that either. I don't think she can. But if it's like, hey, you know what? It's like, yeah, they're enemies of God, and we got to stop them. We got to stop the dirty Muslims with their accent. We got to stop the dirty Muslim coming here porque if they come over here, they're going to spread Islam everywhere. It's like, dude, say Christ is King. Oh, no, I can't say that because, my donors will not let me say that. And that's the problem. Large part of the evangelicals, see? That's, you know what? Let's keep going. Because I have another article by Ted Cruz. This is another one from LifeSite News. Ted Cruz endorses article accusing traditional Catholics of being parasites. Traditional Catholics are in the firing line in an article Ted Cruz described as the best, most comprehensive explanation of what we're fighting. Let's go. In the essay, which runs over 8,000 words, the author claims that the Republican Party was being taken over by a small block of Catholics and undermining its support for Christian Zionism. How in the world, if you're a supporter of this idea, of this ecumenical idea of Christian nationalism, how in the world are you going to defend against if a liberal, if a leftist, you're debating, you're on your blood sports debate, if somebody tells you, you know what, you're being undermined, and that's what's going on. This Christian nationalist movement will be undermined, right? Even if it were to work, I don't think it could work without being one religion, and that's where it becomes problematic. I don't think it can work without being one religion. There has to be one form of Christianity running this, and if you ask me, you already know what my answer is going to be, right? And I know people are like, oh, well, actually, the founding fathers, that was not a Christian nation. That was not a Christian nationalist nation. Okay? They actually, oh, well, everyone can follow their own spice, their own taste of Christianity, and look at what happened. Are we religious? No. Right? Because when it's the same thing all you do when you try to please everyone is you please no one. When you try to put, let's just ignore it. That's how secularism came through. Because none of those in the 13 colonies, none of those religions were strong enough. They were weak. Okay? None of them, and they didn't want to unite. And if you don't unite, you don't become strong. It's like I said, the car cannot move forward when the wheels are going in different directions. And the problem is that this is how it is. We can't unite if traditional Catholics, If Catholics, not just traditional Catholics, if Catholics are going one direction and we got the evangelicals going in the other direction, we can't get anything done. Because I can tell you this much, right? The evangelical will undermine any kind of thing that smells Catholic, they'll undermine it. Look at this, giving you another headline, right? This is again from LifeSite News. Preacher invited to Pentagon by Hegseth says U.S. should ban idolatrous Marian and Eucharistic processions. Doug Wilson, co-founder of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, says the Catholic processions would be banned in an ideal America, prompting backlash from Catholics. How in the world are we supposed to be on the same team? Let's unite. Well, if we say, we unite under, Christ is Lord and Christ is God, we could take down the leftists. Dude, the leftists, okay, they're all united. They all have their different stuff, but you know what? They all unite in one thing. They want degeneracy. That's what they're united in. The level of it, they don't know. They don't care. They don't even talk about it. Okay? Over here on the right, on the Christian nationalist side, what do we have? They're literally undermining, right? This is why I believe it's not going to, this is why ecumenism does, and we know ecumenism doesn't work because in post-conciliar times, the hierarchy of the Catholic Church has been trying to do that. They've been, hey, let's not proselytize because it's the strongest venom against the way of ecumenism. Let's have a public prayer service where we pray with other religions, with other Christian religions. There are separated brethren. Don't call them heretics. There are separated brethren. Let's roll out the red carpet. Roll out the red carpet for these people who hate the church. And you know what they do? Like the only church that's actually not actually been practicing is the only one. Right? The hierarchy of one church. I wouldn't say the church. The hierarchy of the church has been practicing this for 70 years, close to 70 years, and the only thing that has gotten from it, pies in the face, backstabs, insults. We're supposed to team up and save America. That's the thing. Catholics are supposed to team up and save America with the evangelicals and all other Protestant sects who hate us. We're supposed to team up. We're supposed to team up when they go, in an ideal America, we're going to cancel Eucharistic processions. We're going to cancel Marian devotions. It's idolatrous. How are we going to get anything done when we have that? And maybe the leftoids, even though I'm giving the left, they're little, maybe I'm giving them help, but yeah, bring it up. Because it's an issue that should be brought up. How are we going to do something if we got wheels going in different directions? That's why we lose, people. That's why we lose. Technically, we have a so-called Christian nationalist country. Isn't most of the Trump administration controlled by Christian Zionists? Has there been an increase of policy reflecting the teachings of Jesus? No. All there is stupid foreign wars, right? Stupid foreign wars supported by Zionism. We're under the control. We have the so-called Christian, right? And the Christian nationalist nation. That's what we have. And all it's been doing is trying to help Israel build the third temple. And that's what would happen. We have it right now. I know people will be, that's not a take, but it's what it is. These are people, religious people. These are people, self-identified Christians. Again, I'm using the term colloquially. Self-identified Christians, right? These people are out there, and what they're doing, are they stopping abortion? No. Are they banning degeneracy? No. Are they banning pornography? No. Are they trying to help? Are they trying to help the facilitate the building of the third temple? That's the only thing that these people care about. That's the only thing that these people care about. And it is a problem. It is a problem. And it's the biggest issue because these are I'm just singling the evangelical Christians because it's the biggest issue. I don't know if there might be other sects that have the same problem, but you know what? They don't have the same access to power as the evangelicals do. But that they're not doing anything. They're in power. Have they done? No, nothing. So, and the solution, and I want America to go in this direction, but I'm just being realistic about it. They're not doing anything to help. Are things better now than they were 4 years ago? No. Don't be stupid. Things are worse now than they were 4 years ago. Right? And the solution is, hey, let's team up with these people. And this is from a Catholic perspective. Let's team up with these people. Right? Another issue too. And I know like this is a challenge to see. I'm putting it out there just so people can see, can understand what I'm going for. This is how I know this movement. You want to know how bad the movement is? You want to know why it's not gonna do anything? Right? Let's try to get simple thing. Because I was thinking a challenge that I can do. Maybe they can shut me up. Maybe the pro Christian nationalists can shut me up, like at this version of it. You ask me, it's like, well, I need to go and read some stuff more, and then I'll give you what I think, how it should be run. If you tell Andrew, well, how do you think it should be run? I don't know. Right? Like I have some ideas, but it's not good enough to flesh it out. Yeah, Anduce, what do you think we should do? I don't know. But you ask me, I don't know. I have no idea. Right? Like I said, I have some stuff, but I don't have it. I don't have enough information, but I definitely know that this version of it, the one that they want, the one that everybody's promoting, is not going to work. And I know this because my challenge to the Christian nationalists, the pro-Christian nationalists, how about we do this? Let's see if we could try to get Good Friday as a federal holiday. All right. And not, oh, well, let's call it Spring Day. No, don't call it Spring Day. Don't call it Spring Day. Don't call it Free Friday. No. Call it Good Friday and make it into a federal holiday. I was going to say make Holy Week a federal holiday, but that's not going to happen. Because then we're going to get a problem with the Orthodox. The Ortho bros are going, well, actually, Holy Week is this. I don't want to get into it. Make Good Friday. There's more of us. There's more, quote, Western Christians enough to do this. Let's make Good Friday a federal holiday. I don't even think they can do that because you know what? The evangelical Christians, they won't do that. They will never, ever, ever make Good Friday a federal holiday. They will never do that. Let alone Holy Week. But they will never make Good Friday a federal holiday because it's insulting. It's insulting to their masters. And I don't want to name them, but we all know who they are. They're insulting to their masters. You know what? It's insulting to the Israel lobby. Right? And they don't want to insult them. They'll never do that. And that's the first step. If this movement wants to be taken seriously, that's what it has to do. Make Good Friday a holiday. And I'll be waiting. That's the first. I'll eat my words if they can do that. I doubt they can. I doubt they will. I doubt they even want to. And I'm not saying that Catholics are perfect either. Because if I go on a list to explain why this version of Christian nationalists, this ecumenical religiously plural movement won't work. I go, what's the problem with Catholics? I even go longer than what I've been saying here. I'd go even the video would be even longer. But I'm telling you, evangelicals are the most. I brought them up because they're the most vocal, and they're the first thing, the biggest thing, stopping the Christian nationalist movement from going anywhere. And it doesn't matter. Even like I'll even say to the ortho bros, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time trying to fight an ideological war with these people because they will backstab you any chance that they have. They will backstab you any chance that they have. As soon as an evangelical finds out, ortho bro, as soon as they find out what you're about, they'll hate you too. Because to them, they don't see a difference between you guys and us. They don't see a difference. Once they don't see a difference. You guys can sit here and have your 7-hour long conversations about how you're different than Rome and all that stuff. They don't care. To them, it's the same thing. Like, y'all wear robes and stuff. You guys all do that, so it doesn't really matter. Right? Even if you guys want Good Friday should be on this, they don't care because they won't do it. And I'm saying Good Friday has to be called Good Friday, not Spring Friday, Spring Day, nope, not any of that. Good Friday. They can really shut me up if they gave us Holy Week off. That would be the flex of all. They won't do that. Right? They won't do that. And I'm sure even that challenge of making Good Friday a holiday, I'm sure even some Catholics would be against it. What about the Hindus? Who cares? If they want to work, they can work on Good Friday. What about the Muslim? Who cares? If you want to work on Good Friday, you can work on Good Friday. Do whatever you guys want. Keep your shops open. But they can't do that. That's the simple thing. They can't do that. They don't want to do that. And hey, we're screwed. The way it doesn't matter. Like I said, going back to what I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter how many arguments you win online. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because my point is, okay, a car can't move with wheels going in different directions. And the evangelicals, even if one wheel, the car can't move if one wheel is going in a different direction. Even if it's one, car can't move forward. Even if if one of them is going in a different direction, you're not going to go anywhere. The car won't run. And that's all. That would be my defensive. Let's talk to Anduce. Let's bring him on here. Let's talk to him. I would just, car can't move. You can explain, well, theoretically, if we all agree. Yeah, sure, theoretically, we all agree, but that's the problem. That's a joke. That's a joke, huh? That's the joke. We all have to agree. And I'm saying that we're not. And I'm saying ultimately, yeah, we do all have to agree. Actually. Not just on the boilerplate points, but everything to get stuff done, because all the wheels need to be going forward. And they're not going forward. But anyway, it's my return, the Anduce Radio Hour. If you guys like what you heard, comment. If you think I'm full of crap, you guys can comment too. I'll read the comments. You guys want to ruin my day, I'll read them. I don't care. But my return, Anduce Radio Hour, Volume 2. We're gonna have a good time, folks. We're gonna be the spirit of the show is not gonna be different. Maybe some stuff, maybe some topics we're gonna avoid that I used to talk about. Most people don't know what I'm talking about, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to have fun. We're going to have some subjects. It's going to be the show, they don't want you to listen to. They don't want you to listen to this show. We're going to have a good time, and we'll see how far this goes, huh? So, anyway, like I said, please comment. You think I'm stupid? You can put that too. Like I said, I don't care. But I'm happy to be back with you. And if you guys are listening to this, I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys spending the time to listen to what I got to say. So until the next episode, you guys take care, right?